So Feargal, in the new form, the police are saying that there's less focus now on live music and more on recorded music. I mean, how do you take this?
I think actually for me it's one of the very disappointing things in this whole process is this rather manipulative use of the English language. This form still quite clearly encompasses live music, it still quite clearly targets the musicians and the performers, and I still question, against a background where there were 174,000 violent crimes against the person last year, how many of those were perpetrated by any singer, bass player, guitar player, saxophone player or violinist. And the simple truth of the matter is we live in an age now where we have a parliamentary select committee calling for this form to be scrapped, government ministers acknowledging at the weekend that this form is wrong, and indeed the chairman of the Local Government Association Culture Committee. Yet again, the Metropolitan Police have completely misread this position on this, and I think they now need to understand the actual disengagement, the level of resentment, and I think now grievance, not only among my industry, but particularly young black and Asian kids in this town, and the way that this bureaucracy has been handled. Quite frankly, it's a mess.
Okay. And what do you make of the fact, though, that they've taken out the questions of asking for the type of music that's being played?
Well, again, I think one needs to be careful with this, because it would be true to say that they did take out the question. It specifically asked, are there any ethnic minorities attending this event? They have, however, replaced it with one which says, what is the target audience of this event? And I think, might I be in safe ground to assume that white middle-class professionals from North London is not the answer they're looking for. The truth is little, if indeed anything, of this form has changed, and certainly not of any significance. And I think that the call needs to continue in this form, it needs to be scrapped, and it's now time for government to take responsibility and intervene.
But I mean, they've said that, you know, it was said in there at the press conference that genre of music is not a focus for them. I mean, why do you think they've said that now?
Well, I think they're backtracking in that because quite clearly one of the statements from the government minister at the weekend was, I believe, David Lammy, supporting the idea that this form in its intent and spirit was discriminatory and was potentially racist. So by removing that question does not alter the basic fact that they are still trying to blame and target musicians and performers and live music for what they perceive to be trouble in and around the London area. And I still ask them to explain to me, out of that 174,000 crimes last year, how many of those actually were responsible of any musician or performer, and I'm still waiting for an answer because no one seems able to explain it.
And you say that you weren't consulted properly on this as part of this review?
Actually, part of that is something of some interest to me right now, because UK Music did attend a meeting earlier on. We made it very clear in our position at the time that our attendance at that meeting should neither be interpreted as either supporting this or indeed opposing it. And I'm curious as to why somebody a couple of weeks ago briefed the Metropolitan Commissioner and indeed the Mayor, as his role as chairman of the Metropolitan Police Authority, that we were actually involved and engaged in supporting the review. And equally, I gather over the last couple of days, people have been for some reason suggesting we were opposed to it, where I have at my disposal the minutes of that meeting that make it quite clear no one should take either position or either interpretation, and I'm curious as to why somebody might be suggesting otherwise.